Topping both our world lead and our out of this world lead, Russia's space agency is warning that American sanctions could, quote, destroy cooperation on the International Space Station. The ISS is currently home to 4 Americans, 2 Russians, and 1 German, but Russia controls the engines on board. And Russia is now threatening the possibility that the station could just happen to fall out of orbit. CNN space and defense correspondent Kristen Fisher joins us now live. Kristen, this is a crazy story. It's like, nice space station you got there. Shame if anything happened to it. I mean, is this actually a real threat?
That's a great way of putting it. Jake, it's a real threat in the sense that this threat is coming from the head of Russia's space agency. That's NASA's #1 partner on the International Space Station. And it's also real in the sense that it is the Russian section, not the American section, that controls all of the propulsion, that has all of the engines. Now, I spoke to several current and former NASA employees and astronauts, and almost all of them said that they believe that this is all bluster and no bite from Dmitry Rogozin, because Russia is so invested in the space station. They've spent so much money there, but also because Dmitry Rogozin is known for making these very inflammatory remarks, especially on Twitter. He did this, made similar threats the last time that Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2014, and nothing happened. Back then, he was the Deputy Prime Minister of Defense for Russia, and he was personally sanctioned by the U.S. government. Now, he is the head of Roscosmos, and just yesterday, President Biden, when he announced those new sanctions, he said that they will degrade Russia's aerospace industry, including their space program. And what do you know? A few minutes later, Dmitry Rogozin made this threat on Twitter. And I want to read it to you in full, Jake, because it just is so crazy. Rogozin says, quote, "If you block cooperation with us, who will save the International Space Station from an uncontrolled deorbit and fall into the United States or Europe? There's also the possibility of a 500-ton structure falling on India and China. Do you want to threaten them with such a prospect? The ISS, the space station, doesn't fly over Russia. Therefore, all the risks are yours. Are you ready for them?" I mean, that is quite the threat. Now, NASA is responding by saying that this cooperation with Roscosmos will continue. They say that these sanctions will continue to allow U.S.-Russia civil cooperation in space. But, Jake, you know, there is a lot of concern that despite this decades-long partnership, that this time could be different.
We keep hearing these threats from Russia, and they just sound like gangsters, every one of them. Kristen Fisher, thank you so much. Kiev's mayor just warned that that city, that capital city, has a long night ahead. And moments ago, this sound filled the city. We're live on the ground across Ukraine. That's next.